There's a lot going on with ApeCoin than what meets the eye. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it pretty interesting. And I have slides. I have a lot of slides. You guys can feel free to skip through, pause, whatever. But let's kind of really get into it and talk about why it's so interesting. So let's start off with what is ApeCoin. It's a token built on the ERC20 Ethereum blockchain that uses governance and utility as a way to really dive into the ape ecosystem and empower a decentralized community. The ape token is made to support what's next, controlled and built on by the community. It's a community driven initiative to really engage the community. Unlike NFTs, they are fungible, meaning that ape coins should be worth exactly the same as any other ape coin. It's not unique in any way from one to another. So, what was the main purpose of creating the ApeCoin? Well, if you were to ask me, it's a bit of a money grab. Um, you may know ApeCoin was created by the creators of Bored Ape Yacht Club, which, if you wanted to buy a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, it's pretty expensive. It's pretty exclusive. There's a lot of hype around it. So, this token was created as a way to kind of really build on that, kind of open up access to a lot of different people and have a lot of different people kind of be a part of the community, and really drive on that FOMO and really help creators really monetize it. But the actual legit reason for this is that there's four main purposes. One of them was governance. It allows ApeCoin holders to participate in an ApeCoin DAO, which we'll get into shortly. Another is unification of spend. Provides participants with a shared and open currency that can be used without centralized intermediaries, which is what DeFi is all about, bypassing banks, and bypassing all these financial institutions to really drive it yourself. The coin also provides access to exclusive games, merchandise, events, and services. Lastly, there's incentivization that allows third-party developers to participate in the ecosystem by incorporating Ape into services, games, and other projects. So, I know we talked about the Ape Coin DAO, but let's get into the structure of it all. Okay? So we have the ApeCoin protocol. It's all built on the Ethereum blockchain, but there's three main aspects to ApeCoin. One of them is the ApeCoin Foundation, the other is Ape DAO, and the other is the Ape DAO board. The Ape Foundation is essentially what runs the day-to-day administration of the DAO. They run bookkeeping, proposal management, and all the tasks needed to make sure that the DAO has the support it needs to become a reality. It uses an ecosystem fund that helps pay for expenses that it incurs, and helps provide the infrastructure for ApeCoin holders. And we'll get into a little bit of that as well. But the Ape DAO, it's a decentralized governance that is used to build and manage a globally dispersed community and ultimately drive the ape ecosystem. So an example of what it does, for example, is that they have the ape improvement proposal process that allows DAO members to make decisions regarding ecosystem fund allocations, partnerships, projects. So today, there are 5 proposals that actually came about, and this was driven by a consulting firm that board, I believe, had hired to kind of help them launch this. But there's 4 parts to it, right? The first one is DAO structure proposal. It's a proposal showing how the DAO should be structured. Another is voting proposal, showing how voting should kind of take place. Another one was how they should allocate the first year budget, which is just 6% of the fund. The fourth is the staking system to be used, as well as the staking pool allocation and how that should be allocated. This is kind of to kick off the Ape DAO, but any DAO member can really come in and bring a proposal to the community that can be voted on as a community as well. So today, as I mentioned, there is a DAO board, a special council that serves on the Ape Foundation to represent the DAO and help administer the proposals and serve the mission to the community. What's interesting is who the board is composed of. Before I get into who it is composed of, it's notable that the current members will be serving 6 months So this is just the initial folks that are be serving. They'll be serving for 6 months, after which the DAO members will be able to vote annually for who should be on the board. So we have a few interesting people. One of them being Alexis, the founder of one of the co-founders of Reddit. Then we have a bunch of venture capitalists on there as well, which kind of takes away from the idea of decentralization when you have all of these different venture capitalists that have made so much money on this as well. And we're gonna see a little bit in a sec about how they got so much allocation and how much money that they're able to kind of take home from this. But when you have a decentralized entity, it's kind of built by the community for the community, but then you see all these venture capitalists kind of making a lot of money. It kind of gets, I don't know, interesting and weird. Um, the ApeCoin allocation, you have 47% that went to the DAO, 15% that was given as a reward holders of Bored Ape and Mutant Ape. 15% went to Hugo Lab, which are essentially the creators of Bored Ape. But they really try to disassociate themselves away from it. We'll get into that in a sec. 14% went to venture capitalists such as Andreessen. 8% went to founders, and 1% went to a foundation, charity foundation. So kind of, let's break this down a little bit more. So the 62%, which is the combination of tokens that went to the DAO to help kind of support the DAO, and then that was given as a reward to Bored Ape Yacht Club and Mutant Ape NFT holders. You were a holder of Bored Ape Yacht Club. You got about what is worth today about 100. You got about 10,000 tokens, depending on what NFT you had. It'd be worth about $130,000, I believe, today. So you made a nice profit just by holding the NFT, but not all of it is unlocked at launch. You get a good amount of it at first, and then a lot of it vests over time as well over the next few months. For the next 48 months, every month you get an X amount as well. Interesting is the next 16% that was given to Hugo Lab. That's the company essentially behind Bored Ape Yacht Club. They've profited a lot, and they're doing this thing where they can give 1% of it to charity just to make themselves look good. They've made a lot of money off of this as well, despite the fact that they keep saying that they're not responsible for it, that they're not associated with it, as well. And as I mentioned earlier, 14% went to venture capitalists, and 8% went to Bored Ape Yacht Club founders. So, concentration of power. With all these people getting so much tokens, you kind of see that there's a lot of concentration of power. ApeCoin is supposed to be a decentralized entity with no specific entity in control. Companies and investors like Andreessen Horowitz end up getting substantial influence over the DAO, given how much tokens that they've been granted. When you have VCs having so much influence over Web3, it goes against what blockchain is all about promoting this decentralization of power. So it gets a little sketchy and it gets a little weird here. However, we do see some of these venture capitalists are actually delegating their voting power to like student organizations at universities or whatever it may be, kind of help dilute their influence. But to begin with, that really shouldn't have been what it came down to. It's just a little weird. The 4 founders of Hugo Lab also received about 8% of the tokens. Obviously, Hugo Labs received 15% as well. So it's just a lot that they've been receiving. It just I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with how much they've really received, especially given how they keep, like, Hugo Labs keeps saying, like, hey, this is not our project, this is not our token, this is not controlled by us. Keep saying that the DAO is an entirely separate entity from Hugo Labs. And sorry if I'm saying Hugo Labs incorrectly. I think it's pronounced Hugo Labs. But they keep saying it's a token issued exclusively has a reward for Bored Ape holders. What's interesting is that with because it's a reward for Bored Ape holders, you could argue that the Bored Ape is kind of an investment and therefore subject to securities regulation. But the way they've gone about it kind of helps them kind of really diverge away from that, and gives them plausible deniability. Where now there's an independent entity allocating these companies and founders rather than them themselves doing it to pump up their own investments. So it does bring up a lot of questions about securities regulation, and what's to come from it as well. I think this is going to be kind of the forefront of what's going to go down, because it's odd. We have such a huge corporations essentially giving it what it seems like it's giving itself a lot of these tokens, resulting in them getting billions of dollars, um, but no regulations for it at all. What Yuga Labs did was that they gifted the ApeCoin DAO a one of one NFT featuring a blue version of the Bored Ape Yacht Club logo. And this NFT kind of conveys along with it rights and privileges, the logo's intellectual property to the DAO, um, allowing the DAO to do with the IP what it chooses to do. So I don't know, kind of a little weird. And there have been some issues that came across with the token. So when it first released, they essentially airdropped it to all those folks we just talked about. So you have to go and claim it, and you get it airdropped to you. But some people were able to take advantage of it. Some very smart people, like for example, what one person did was that they went and borrowed a Bored Ape NFT. Using that they actually borrowed 5 of them, and then they used those 5 go collect and claim their tokens, which was about over $1 million worth of tokens. And then they went back and returned the NFTs that they collected. So it was weird because what they did was that they used a snapshot mechanism where that it didn't look historically at someone that owned it at a specific time, but it was whenever you owned it, like whether it's now or whenever, like you can come right now and claim it right now as long as you have the NFT and you have rights to it, then you can get it at the current moment. So someone was able to go rent it out really quick and go get a loan and claim it quickly. So there's some vulnerability going on there. It was a little weird as well, that just I don't know, the security just wasn't there. There's obviously a lot that this is a new thing. This is all a new thing going on, a new era. So there's a lot of learnings to be coming out of this as well. That was an area that was just a little bit weird as well. There are a few other things just to noteworthy comments to mention. One of them being that this token was quickly listed on some of the largest exchanges. A really incredible feature. It was on Coinbase, FTX, Binance, Gemini, and Crypto.com. So it really shows that there is a lot of hype around this. Bored apes are expensive, and while ApeCoin tokens are relatively cheap, about $13 right now, the creators, the people who put this all together, they were able to really play on this exclusive club, this fear of missing out, and really get a lot of people involved, and just continue monetizing the token and really rewarding themselves and making even more money. Anyways, another cool, I'll put that all aside. Another cool thing that's going to be going on as well is that there's a mobile game called Benji Bananas, developed by Animoca Brands, whose CEO is actually one of the board members of the Ape Foundation, is adopting the ApeCoin as a kind of in-game currency. For 25 ApeCoins, you can buy a Benji Banana membership pass, which lets you earn special tokens in-game. And those tokens can be swapped for ApeCoins. So obviously, we'll see a lot of interesting exclusive games, merchandise events, and so forth coming out of this. But it will still be interesting to see what ends up happening. But there's a lot of good, bad, interesting things going on here that I don't know, that I thought it was just worth addressing and just kind of learning about. That is all I got for today. Hopefully you guys learned a few things about ApeCoin and helped you kind of decide if you should invest in it or not. But there's a lot going on with the DAO, with games coming out of it, but also a lot of sketchy things with who owns it and who has such huge influence on it. So I hope I get a like, maybe a subscribe from you guys. But that's all I got for you folks today. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye bye.